Hello everybody and welcome back to the WCSL Draft League. This is the Week 3 Team Builder, and it is time for another battle with the dual weather team. Let's get straight into it. The team that I am facing, the Aurora Tails, has a team that, just like our last team that we faced, is dual weather focused. They've got a Pelipper with the drizzle, and they've got a Vulpix with the drought. So that is the kind of two modes I could be facing here that I'm mainly worried about, with Kingdra as the Swift Swim Pokemon, and with Leafeon as the Chlorophyll Pokemon. Let's take a bit of a deeper dive into the actual Pokemon on the team to see what they are. So Amoonguss is the S tier that this team drafted. Obviously, Amoonguss is a great Pokemon with Spore, Rage Powder, Protect, Pollen Puff, great natural bulk, huge HP stat. It could run Focus Sash, it could run a number of other items, Yachi Berry, Citrus Berry. Regenerator is probably a solid ability for it. It could also run Effect Spore against my team because maybe it's not expecting to be switching out all that much with my firepower. But next we have the Darmanitan and Galar. With obviously it could run Choice Scarf. It could also run Choice Bands set. Guerrilla Tactics is kind of what it's normally going to do. The other thing it can do is run Zen Mode sub Belly Drum with Salak Berry. That is an option that it has that I have not specifically prepped for, but I have kept in the back of my mind because Galarian Darmanitan in Zen Mode is a scary thing. So I need to have some sort of an answer to that. Icicle Crash, Rock Slide, Fire Punch, U-Turn is kind of the four big ones that I would be expecting it to run. Naturally, Icicle Crash, strong stab, Rock Slide, good strong spread move, Fire Punch is good into a lot of my team. It could also run something like Superpower. I don't think it gets close combat, but it has options. And U-Turn, of course, to switch out. Choice Scarf because it has a really high speed tier, and with Choice Scarf it can outspeed my entire team, and it's hitting hard with Guerrilla Tactics. Of course, Choice Band, again, is still an option to make it hit way too hard. But that aside, it's really lacking somewhat in bulk because it's a Darmanitan Galar, it's Ice type, so it really does need something for that. And so thankfully I will be able to take it out easily if I can pin it down, get it faked out perhaps, etc. Next there's Cinderace. Cinderace hits a really high speed tier of 119 stat. With Life Orb, I'm expecting it is going to hit really hard. With Libero, it changes type to always have the same type attack bonus. These are kind of standard-ish moves. It could be running something else other than Gunk Shot, but usually it'll see Pyro Ball, Sucker Punch. High Jump Kick is super good against my team because I have 6 fighting weaknesses still. Something I need to maybe consider changing about my team, but it can also run Iron Head. I ran into Iron Head in prep. That's another strong option into my fairy types for Cinderace. Overall, super strong, hits super hard, and a big threat to my team in a lot of ways. So next we have Kingdra. Kingdra I'm expecting to be choice specs, but it could also be something like Life Orb. It could be an Assault Vest set. It could be all sorts of things. So with the ability Swift Swim, it's going to be super fast in the rain. I'm expecting a modest set, and I will explain why that is important later in this team builder, but I'm expecting a modest set for just maximum damage output because it's still very fast in the rain. It should be outspeeding most of my team at neutral. Muddy Water is good strong stab in the rain, hits both. Draco Meteor, Ice Beam, it could run other than Hurricane, which is a super strong move in general. It could also run something like Flash Cannon, it could run all sorts of things. It could run Protect on a non-choiced set. It could run Scald instead of Muddy Water or Hydro Pump, or it could run Surf, or it has all sorts of options. Dragon Pulse is another option instead of Draco Meteor. All sorts of things that Kingdra can do. Liepard. Liepard is a really interesting Pokemon. I have basically written the guide on how to use Liepard in VGC and Draft. It's something that I have considered actually making a video about, so if you are interested in seeing a video about how to use Liepard and some suggested sets that I have, leave a comment about that and I'll try to get around to it. The kind of set that I would be expecting from Liepard: Fake Out, Thunder Wave, Rain Dance, Foul Play. It could also run Sunny Day, it gets that. It could run Taunt, although I do have Aromatisse with Aroma Veil, which my opponent should know about. It could run U-Turn for pivoting, it could run all sorts of stuff. It gets Skitter Smack to lower special attack. It gets Sunny Day again. Basically, Prankster, which is the ability that this should have in the Teambuilder, is a really good ability, and Liepard gets a lot of really good moves for it. It can nasty plot Baton Pass. I ran into that set in testing. It has just a lot of options for it, so that's something that I am definitely wary of, although I think a lot of its options are limited by what else the team wants to do, specifically against my team. But strong, fast Fake Out is always something to look out for, so it's almost certainly going to have the Focus Sash if it does come, although it can run other items. A common set used to be Trick Eject button in VGC when Dynamax was a big thing, but in this league, of course, there is no Dynamax, so Trick Eject button is not quite so good. Next we have Rhydon. Naturally, Rhydon would be holding the Eviolite if it comes. Lightning Rod. I'm kind of expecting, like, it has to be running Lightning Rod on this team most of the time, considering Kingdra and Pelipper are things. But Protect, High Horsepower, Rock Slide, Curse. This is a set that I think I actually ran against exactly this set. In testing, Rhydon is super bulky. If you give it Eviolite and enough special defense investment, it can live hits on the special side even, which is really nice for it. And with Eviolite, you don't have to run an Assault Vest for the extra special defense, and you get a defense boost as well. It's super nice. Attack stat is 130, which is great. It has great 8 bulk. And a Curse Pokemon is always super threatening because it just has the ability to just boost itself and make itself slower in Trick Room, and all in all just be very scary. It's 4 times weakness to Dracovish, and the fact that it is likely going to be coming in rain if it comes at all is a big problem for it. So that is the one thing I will say. It would really love to not be 4 times weak to water. And even with, and I've done this calc, max HP, max defense, with an Eviolite or a Pasho Berry, even better, to resist the water attack, it still goes down to a Fishious Rend. Like, even a Fishious Rend going second is doing at least 70%, I think. So this thing is not really standing up to my Dracovish. So that's its big problem for this week, though I do still think it is fairly likely to come. Next we have Pelipper. Pelipper also really wants to run the Focus Sash. It could run Wakanberry as well, but Pelipper, honestly, I'm expecting Focus Sash. The problem is this team has too many things that want the Focus Sash. Amoonguss wants the Sash, Liepard wants the Sash, Pelipper wants the Sash, Vulpix really wants the Sash. There's just not a great place to put it is the problem. Pelipper naturally will be Drizzle. It's probably going to want to run Tailwind just for extra speed control because I have Frostmoth with my own Tailwind. They want to be able to match it at least. Scald Hurricane is a very standard Pelipper set. It does a lot of damage. I did not test against Wide Guard, although I think it's very strong for my opponent if they decide to bring it. Wide Guard shuts down Rock Slides from my side. It shuts down potential discharges from my Boltund, which Pelipper doesn't want to see naturally. And I've also run against, what I practiced against is Knockoff, which is a nice set. It also gets U-Turn, which is a good set. So a lot of very good support moves that Pelipper gets. It usually is going to be running a bit more defensive than I have the spread here, but it has the potential to do some serious damage in the rain with its Scalds and its Hurricanes dual stab. So that's something I'm keeping an eye out. Leafeon. In complete honesty, Leafeon wants to be running everything, and the problem is that it can't. Expert Belt is a great item. It can also run something like Choice Band. It can run even like Focus Sash sets, to be completely honest. It could be a Life Orb set. It has options on this team. Chlorophyll naturally is going to be the ability they want with Vulpix. Leaf Blade and or Solar Blade, one of the two, if not both, is pretty likely. Facade is something that they could have in case they're expecting to get burned or paralyzed. It gets coverage in X-Scissor. It gets Double Kick, which is actually good against my team because it's fighting coverage. It gets Swords Dance. It gets all sorts of stuff. Naturally Protect. It gets all sorts of options. I have it pegged as something with Adamant Nature, Max Attack. Most likely. I'm not certain it'll run max speed because it doesn't need to outspeed my whole team. And I'm honestly kind of hoping it doesn't, because if it doesn't, then I have a pretty good surprise for it in store. Next we have Vulpix. Again, just everything on this team wants the Focus Sash. There's nothing that's really safe from one-hit KOs in these four Pokemon. I mean, Amoonguss safer than the others, but still does not want to be taking an Icicle Crash if I decide to run Band. So Drought, Focus Sash for Vulpix is what I've got. I practiced against Focus Sash. I'm pretty confident against it. It can run all sorts of stuff. It can run Weather Ball, Flamethrower, Burning Jealousy kind of thing. Will-O-Wisp is a good option. Something that I practiced against that was pretty funny was Roar as a tech move. It's interesting because it can phase out my Trick Room. Another one is Memento that it gets. Also very interesting kind of a move. Because Vulpix doesn't exactly want to stay on the field anyways. Like, in theory, it can run a whole ton of different moves, and Baby Doll Eyes is something I practiced against. In fact, I practiced against, I think, a 4 support move Vulpix, but I think in the Sun, it does want to be running some special attack investment, and at least, like, Burning Jealousy to get guaranteed burns if I decide to go for a boosting strat. So, yeah, that's what I think is the strongest Vulpix set. Something kind of like this. And I mean, it has a lot of options, right? It can do a lot of stuff. It can run Heat Wave instead of Burning Jealousy or instead of anything else. It can run Overheat if it wants to actually do damage instead of doing fake damage, but... Moving on, Exeggutor. I'm expecting a Leaf Powder Chlorophyll set. I've prepped against a Trick Room set, and that did decently well against me, but what I'm expecting, again, chlorophyll set, because chlorophyll is just super strong with the sun. And it could be harvest as well with a citrus berry or something, but I'm expecting a chlorophyll sleep powder. 100% expecting that with wide lens. Psychic, leaf storm, protect. And again, I'm not even expecting this to come 100% of the time. But it is an option that my opponent has to bring the Executor. And finally, we get to the bane of my existence, Chansey. I hate this Pokemon with a burning passion. Chansey is my least favorite Pokemon. My favorite Pokemon varies from time to time. My least favorite Pokemon is always and will always be Chansey. Until they come out with something even more horrible than Chansey, it will always be Chansey. Minimize, ally switch, anything, you name it. This is the most annoying thing on the planet. I played a Chansey once, and it was so disgusting that I immediately swore off it. I was like, I'm not going to do this again. This was just disgusting. It lived something like a +3 flame charge in the sun from a Rapidash and a free-for-all set, and I was like, what are you doing? That did 40%, and I wasn't even boosted defense, and Chansey is just a disgusting Pokemon, and I'm very glad that I have a plan for it, because I hate it so much. So much. I hate it. Okay, anyways, moving on to my team. How am I going to beat this team? And here we have the plan. So we've got Bolton, and I've actually given all of these nicknames on my phone, but I didn't give them nicknames on my computer, so this is what the nicknames are going to be. Bolto, the Bolton, is going to be running Nuzzle, Fire Fang, Volt Switch, and Snarl. It's going to be Choice Scarf, Strong Jaw. And the reason it's Choice Scarf is because if I run Choice Scarf with this much speed investment, then I can outspeed a modest, modest Kingdra in the rain with Swift Swim, max speed. And again, that's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't think my opponent would go Timid, especially considering that I don't think my opponent will expect a Choice Scarf Bolton. Although my opponent maybe will expect me to run Choice Scarf on one of my faster Pokemon and try to disrupt that way. It's still a hard read to make, to give up that much damage, especially. Nuzzle is really good for speed control. Volt Switch is good, strong special attack, and also decent for pivoting around. Fire Fang is specifically for Leafeon. It also does decent damage into the Executor, and really into anything in the sun. It's doing decent damage with Strong Jaw and a decent bit of attack investment. Snarl is really important tech in my planned kind of lead. I could have been running some other stuff here, like Helping Hand, but really I think it's going to be most important to me. Like I could run Charm as well. I could run Eerie Impulse. Eerie Impulse was on this set for a while instead of, I think, Fire Fang, but I could be running Manual Electric Terrain. That was another set that I had in the Teambuilder for a while. But in the end, I think I've gone with the set that is going to work the best, and that is this one. And hopefully I'm right, and I don't want some other set instead. Next, we have Dracovish. Monsieur Poisson. As we named it in my practice on my phone. It's going to be running the Habanberry this week, and that is specifically to live a hit from Modest Kingdra at -1. And that is why Snarl is important. We are running a good bit of HP, 68. We're running enough speed to outspeed something specific. I don't remember what, but there was something that I wanted to outspeed, so I did give it that much. Naturally strong jaw, Fishes Run, Psychic Fangs, Dragon Rush, Protect is the set I've gone with. I think I'm going to switch out Psychic Fangs because it wasn't the best, but honestly I'm probably best to keep it just because Amoonguss is such a big threat. My other option, of course, was going to be Leech Life. Leech Life is actually a really good move. It's recovery. It hits Executive 4 times super effective. It hits Leafeon 2 times super effective. It's a really good move in general. So, something that I'm looking at to do. But really, Fish's Rend is the big thing because it's a Dracovish, of course. Dragon Rush for the... what's it called? You know what it's called. Yeah, that one. Precisely. Weavile! Weavile I named Quad Salco. Naturally, a figure skating move like Triple Axel. It's holding the Never Melt Ice this week. This is my kind of go-to item for Weavile. Actually, I mean, I don't have a Focus Test this week, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't expect to need one. Weavile with the Never Melt Ice. It's got Fake Out, Feint, Triple Axel, Ice Shard. I'm running no Protect again this week. We're running Pressure because it's the easiest ability and it's also kind of optimal. Although, technically Pickpocket is better if I'm expecting to be knocked off. It's still probably better to have Pressure just for various other reasons like PP stalling in endgame. I'm running the amount of speed I need to outspeed Cinderace by 1 point, guaranteed, unless it's a Choice Scarf or something. Triple Axel and Ice Shard are super good into most of my opponent's team. The Triple Axel, I think it was either incredibly likely or guaranteed to one-hit KO Amoonguss. Assuming it hits all three, which again, 72.9% chance. I don't want to have to go for this every week. I will be getting Weaviles with different movesets when I expect my opponents not to be running something like Focus Sash or an Ice-type Berry. But still, Feint's super good because it lets me make really nice hard reads, in a sense, into opposing Protects. If I'm expecting my opponent to Protect because they think they're going to get faked out, I can Feint instead and break the Protect and then double into it with my other Pokemon and just do a ton of damage in the end. Ice Shard is good priority, of course. And it's always nice to have priority against a team that that could potentially set up Trick Room, and also when my team can potentially set up Trick Room. Not to mention that the opposing team is outspeeding me with a couple mons. So that's just useful in general. Aromatisse we named Fallacy in testing. We really like that. It's a gamble. I'm making the Aromatisse gamble this week. And that is, my opponents know that I have Aromatisse. My opponents know that I run Aroma Veil on my Aromatisse. And so I'm running Healer instead because they're not going to want to taunt me anyways. And that's half the battle with Aromatisse. It's, does my opponent expect me to be running Aroma Veil? Because if I'm not running Aroma Veil, then they could taunt me. But if I am, that's a waste of a move slot on their Pokemon. I'm running Healer for a couple of reasons. The biggest of those reasons is naturally Amoonguss, which can Spore me. But also Liepard could paralyze me, Vulpix can burn me. all sorts of situations where I would love Healer to be able to activate. 30% chance per Pokemon of curing status. Super nice. Super useful. Citrus Berry is to make Flash Cannon from a 2-shot into a 3-shot, as well as a couple of other ranges from 2 shots to 3 shots. Protect, Trick Room, Moonblast, Psychic. Psychic is for Amoonguss. It does decent damage, especially with this special attack investment. Actually, 2-shotting Amoonguss, I think, even with a Citrus Berry. I don't remember the exact calcs, but it seemed to work in testing, so I'm not going to be mad about it. Moonblast is guaranteed to 1-hit KO the Kingdra if it's not very bulky. If it is running some bulk, it's still going to be doing upwards of 90% damage on low rolls. Next we have Clefairy, which I named Speedrun Time. For hopefully obvious reasons, on my Twitch page I have been occasionally streaming either preparations for or actually doing speedruns of Sword and Shield using a Clefairy that I trade in at level 7. Super interesting. Definitely watch. I'm going to plug that right now. Safety Goggles, Friend Guard. It's not Eviolite this week. I've gone with Safety Goggles because Amoonguss is Amoonguss. And I'm running No Attack Clefairy. I've got Protect, Follow Me, Heal Pulse, Aromatherapy. And this Clefairy, naturally, it can't attack the opponent, but I don't think it's going to have to be perceived as a threat. Naturally, it can Follow Me, and it can Heal Pulse. Aromatherapy is super good on this team, especially against the team that I'm going up against, because Clefairy can get an Aromatherapy off, and then I can have a Pokemon wake up in the middle of the turn with the Aromatherapy and attack. Or I can cure my own paralysis to make myself faster, or to just give myself a 100% chance to get an attack off. I can cure a burn with Aromatherapy. Heal Pulse is super good just because it can give my partner actual HP in the moment at any time, which is always super nice. I would be running something like Life Dew, but I think Heal Pulse is going to be somewhat more useful. Just because I don't need my Clefairy to stick around too long to be getting what it needs done. What I do need it to do is make sure my other Pokemon are getting as much done as they can. And finally, we have Homps. Caparajah is running a substitute leftovers set, which I've never tried on Caparajah before, but it's something that I've theorized. It's going to be Heavy Metal this week, which is always interesting. We're going with Heavy Metal Heavy Slam. Play Rough as a coverage move to hit our good friend Kingdra that we've been talking about so much. And yeah, Sub Curse I think is going to be super powerful this week. If I can set up a couple curses, I can start living hits from things like the Rhydon even. And naturally I'm just going to be one-hit KOing a lot of things with Heavy Slam if I can get that off anyways. Sub Leftovers is super, super good against Amoonguss because if I get a sub off, Amoonguss cannot touch Caparajah. And that is the one thing that I am most worried about touching Caparajah is the Amoonguss. So being able to get off a substitute there, super nice. And I'm not going to feel the loss of HP even if I need to use substitute a couple times, even if Leftovers somehow gets knocked off or lost or tricked away. Because Clefairy can heal Pulse Caparajah to full through the substitute, which would be super useful. Heavy Slam with Heavy Metal is doing a lot of damage to everything. I think at +1 it KOs Amoonguss, it KOs Rhydon because of Heavy Metal, because without it's not heavy enough to do maximum damage. All in all, Ourucs-Oraihc, I'm hoping pulls its weight this week, but I really think the strength of this team is on the fast side, is the strongest part. And this mode, while it should be enough to win at least one game, I'm not expecting to be great in 2, depending on what my opponent brings. And so that is really, really what I do is going to depend on my opponent's choices. I think, so game 1, the plan, if I see rain, I am going to lead with Bolto and Monsieur Poisson. And the reason for that is because, again, my plan is not to KO the Pelipper, or it's to either nuzzle into the what's it called? I'm either going to nuzzle into the Kingdra if I don't see Rhydon in the back, or if I do see Rhydon in the back, I'm going to snarl instead. And either way, I should be able to take out the Kingdra, because either after a nuzzle it doesn't get an attack off, or is slower because it's not plus speed. Although maybe I should... Yes, this 129 speed is just enough to outspeed that Paralyzed in the Rain. And I'm taking it out with a Dragon Rush. Or... Oh, is it? I'm going to double check that real quick. Double checking EV spreads at the last minute, baby. That is my draft, baby. 137, not 127. My goodness. Nearly made a bad mistake there. 137A. There we go. That'll do it. Makes it less likely for me to survive with Headband Berry, but we'll work through it. We'll work through it. Yeah. Last minute changes, baby. Slightly less bulky now. Anyways, that's the plan. Hopefully I get to take out the Kingdra before it really does damage, and then I have rain set up for me for my Vicious Wrens, and my opponent can't outspeed Dracovish with everything getting nuzzled, is the eventual goal, to just sweep them in their own rain if they bring rain. If they bring Sun, I'm still leading with Bolton Dracovish. I'm probably switching in Clefairy into the Dracovish slot turn 1 and going for a Fire Fang into Leafeon. And then naturally Weavile in the back will be able to take out the Leafeon with a Fake Out or whatever I want to do with that. And I could, again, always just outspeed for some reason. Game 2, if things go south, I'm potentially going to lead either Weavile or Boltund plus Aromatisse. I could also lead Clefairy plus Aromatisse if I think that's a more reliable way to get Trick Room up. To be completely honest, it might be. But in any case, Ourucs-Oraihc in the back, I think, can do serious damage. Again, if it gets its setup off, it's a shoo-in to just destroy things. So, and of course, if things go well, maybe I don't even have to reveal what set I'm running on Ourucs-Oraihc until this video comes out. So, in any case, this video coming out might be late, because I have been traveling all weekend and I'm not certain when my opponent is free next. But in any case, thank you to everyone watching this video. Stick around for more Draft League content. Tomorrow, from when this video goes up, whenever it does happen to go up, the battle video will go up. So you have that to look forward to. And until next time, thank you for watching. Bye!